I'll figure it out.
Rene,
Yes.
I forgot to ask you a question.
Uh-oh, what's that?
Do you like America?
Like America.
Or love America?
I
Whatever.
love America. I absolutely love being here. But then again, I don't have anywhere else to really compare it to. I mean, I was born here, I was raised here, I continue to be here. I do love traveling and visiting other parts of the world, but as far as anywhere that I'd want to live, I think I'd probably stay here. It's two Buddhas, a male and a female, that are meditating. So this
Two Buddhas?
This is the male, yeah, and this is the female Buddha.
So Buddha has a wife?
Well, just a female incarnation of a
okay,
Buddha.
yeah.
So some people think like Buddha is an actual person, but a Buddha is really just anyone who is an enlightened being. Yes.
Plantation.
Surya Namaskar. Surya Namaskar, variation B. Surya is sun, Namaskar to greet. Downward facing dog. Left foot to the left, step your right foot forward. Coming up, warrior one, Virabhadrasana. A. Look up. Exhale. Vinyasa. Other side. Left foot's gonna come forward. Up. I don't get to practice next to you very much, Hassan. This is kind of nice.
Yeah,
I always practice by myself. I don't get to go to yoga classes too much anymore. I'm teaching too much. The only time I get to go to yoga is when I go
So imagine we're doing this for 1 hour.
in a very hot room.
Yeah.
We have air conditioning in here right now.
Yeah, now it's comfortable, but
It's only
in
70.
your class it's like, ooh.
70 something in here
Sweat.
today, but usually, yeah, I like it hot. Hotter the better. Well, you know, I started in that Bikram stuff, and that's 104. 104 temperature. That's the really hot stuff. So what do you think? You want to do a little crow? You know the crow too. We could do crow side by side.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. Feel a little bit warmed up? You feel
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
All right.
That's warm.
Yeah, see, a little bit warm up.
Yeah.
You don't want to go into a cold. All right, so crow first. So you want to come down into a squat or hands in front of you. And I want to get, should I get right next to you? Hands down. Knees to your triceps. Look forward, lean forward. Lift your feet up. Good. How do you feel about side crow? Are you just...
I try to do it.
People either like front or side. So.
Yeah, you can do it.
But that one I can.
So what's the secret?
You have to be able to levitate.
Like this, you put
No, you don't.
you put your knee.
So it's elbow to knee, and then your other elbow has to be touching the side of your body. And then bend your elbows, yeah, just like crow, and then lean forward. There you go. Yeah. Not as easy as the front one. Yeah. Lean forward, yeah, and then the feet come up. Yeah. And you got your face really, really close. Yeah, and then you can start to do something like that.
Yeah. I'm not able to do that.
Tricks. Do you want to do a headstand together?
So if you want to teach someone to do a headstand first time, and
Oh yeah, the way that walking people through the headstand?
Yes.
Which I learned from Swami Vishnu. The guy
Oh, you
in
did?
the book, yeah. You know, for headstand. You know, a lot of people want to do headstand, but the idea of lifting their legs up is kind of scary. So you don't necessarily have to. So you put your elbows down. And keep your elbows there, and then interlace your fingers, which creates a basket with your hands. Drop your chin down towards your chest. And you want to put the top of your head on your mat and cradle the back of your head with your hands. So head is down, hands are touching the back of your head, and then tuck your toes and lift your hips up into the air. So it's like downward facing dog.
yes.
But you want to put a lot of weight in your shoulders, a lot of weight in your arms, not on the top of your head. And start to walk your feet forward. So tiptoe your feet forward. And eventually you're going to get your hips, get the legs up into a fuller expression of headstand. And then you can get fancy in the headstand if you want, yeah? You can do things like cross your legs up. Yeah,
Cross like
into lotus. Legs in lotus, like that. People think that's kind of fancy. Or you can kick your legs up and do like a back bend here, so legs up, and then bend your knees. Like a back bend type situation. kind of fancy. But the most important thing is what, Hassan?
Breathe.
That you are breathing. Yes, you must keep breathing no matter what you do.
You need to breathe.
You need to breathe. You must be breathing. Otherwise, there is no yoga. And see what you think of those.
When you sit down and you stand up without touching the floor or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's...
Okay.
I cannot do that.
Oh.
I tried.
You haven't figured that one out yet?
I tried.
Okay. So we start seated. And so, this is really a functional movement exercise. So, if you can go from seated to standing without using your hands, they say that you live longer. They say that you live longer because it's less likely that you'll be impacted negatively by a fall later in life. So it's a good thing to be able to practice getting up and sitting down without relying on your hands.
Yes.
So, I find it a little easier if I keep my ankles crossed. Ankles crossed, yeah. And you gotta rock forward. It's those first couple of inches that are the hardest part. But rock forward, I guess I bring my heels kind of in now that I'm thinking about it. I kind of bring my heels in, rock forward, and come up. Ta-da! Rock forward.
Well, I need somebody to push me from the back.
Right, 1, 2, 3. Ta-da! So you try it with your feet next to each other. You might like that one. I mean, you just try both, because for some people it depends on their bodies. Like for some people, you gotta come forward and rock into your feet. Come on, get forward.
Oh.
You gotta go forward. Yeah, it's a lot of hips.
Hips. Okay.
So you gotta think about lifting your hips up and bring them forward. Come on, reach. Oh, see? I didn't even help him that time. I acted like I was gonna, but I didn't. I acted like I was gonna do it, but I didn't help you that time.
I wish you could see yourself just sitting there on my chair. I'm staring at...
It's supposed to be good for your mind and your body, and it's supposed to help reduce stress. And at the time, I was working in a very high stress profession. And my husband's like, let's go and try this yoga class. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, yeah, and it's really hot. And I'm like, oh no, because I never liked being hot, and sweating and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, I don't know. So he convinced me to go, and we started practicing pretty regularly together, going to a Bikram yoga studio. It was this little more than a room, not much bigger than this room, that they had humidifiers and space heaters in to make it hot. And we would practice the Bikram yoga sequence. And we practiced together for quite some time, but in time, he stopped going. That did help me calm down. That did help me kind of connect with myself. That did help me find a bit of peace. I just really enjoyed it. And I kept going, and I kept going, and I kept going, and I kept going, and I kept going. And, practiced a lot. And then people at my workplace started noticing, wow, you smile a lot. Like you look different. Like what's happening? I said, I started practicing yoga. And until you experience it, you don't know.
Yes.
So you have all these preconceived notions, or you notice what's on Facebook or on Instagram or what you see on TV, or it's kind of everywhere now. I mean, yoga is basically, it's everywhere now. And I think because of that, there's a lot of preconceived notions about what a person needs to be, or what they need to look like, or what they need to be able to do or not be able to do to try yoga. And the truth of the matter is, you just come as you are.
Yes.
You just come as you are. I think you find that there's a subtle shift that happens over time. And there's an ancient text written about yoga. It's called the Yoga Sutras, Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. And I didn't understand this when I first started practicing yoga, but it's something that I understand now, that really yoga, chitta vritti nirodha, yoga chitta vritti nirodha, which means in English, yoga ceases the fluctuations of the mind. So when you practice yoga and you start moving into a certain shape and you start focusing on your breath, you're no longer thinking about all those things outside of yourself, yeah? You're no longer thinking about your to-do list or the emails or the text or the work or the relationship or the money or the house. Like like, I'm hungry, yeah? You're no longer thinking about any of that. All that, it goes away. All there is the breath and the sensations in your body. And that brings you to a very peaceful place that takes your mind out of the equation for a while. Yeah, it allows your mind to kind of shut down for a little bit of time, which can bring about a real sense of peace, yeah, of stillness that's hard to access by other means, because the mind is always thinking, the mind is always going, it's always going, it's always going. You come to yoga, you focus on your breath, and you focus on a triangle pose. All of a sudden, your mind shuts down, yeah, and there's peace, and there's stillness. And once you start catching glimpses of that peace and of that stillness, you begin to crave more. Yeah, you want to have more of that. You want to have more instances of that and spend more time, in that space of stillness. And in time, the energy kind of follows you from your practice on the mat to your life off of the mat, And so through that and through practicing over and over and over again, finding that stillness over and over and over again, it kind of shuts the mind down and brings you into a more peaceful place.
So where did yoga come from? Who practiced the first yoga?
Who's the first yogi ever? Like whoever, thought of this whole yoga thing anyway. There's a lot of discussion about it in the yoga communities, and I think the history of yoga is a vast subject, right? And so I think you kind of read about it or learn from your teachers, and you kind of pick the bits and pieces that kind of resonate with you. And kind of my version of how yoga started is they say 5,000 to 10,000 years ago there were cave dwellings, or I should say stone walls that were found in Pakistan with the first drawings of people doing yoga. So you think of like caveman drawings?
Yes.
There were caveman drawings found anywhere between 5,000 and 10,000 years ago in the mountains in Pakistan of people doing yoga posture.
We don't know exactly what date started.
No.
We just found that it was practiced 5 years ago. We found just
that's at least like the first human recordings of yoga, or these cave drawings, these stone drawings, these things that are etched into the stone of people practicing yoga. Prior to that, things can get a little bit, murky as far as how it was handed down. I personally believe that Lord Shiva, one of the three great Hindu gods, Lord Shiva, was the one who came up with or was gifted with this idea of yoga, and he shared it with his mortal or human consort, Parvati, his partner, Parvati. And she was the one that first learned yoga, and she was the one who first shared it with humankind. With humankind. So it came from the divine. It came from Lord Shiva to Parvati, and then was shared with the rest of us. And
yoga has to do with Buddha?
Not necessarily. No.
It's not from India. It's not like origin of yoga. It's not from India.
No. Again, those first like physical things, that were found are actually north of India. What's now Pakistan, up there in the Himalayas. So up there. So a lot of people think that yoga is rooted in Buddhism or Hinduism, and there's definitely like some overlaps there. I think a lot of the teachings of both Buddhism and Hinduism definitely have a lot to do with what we talk about in yoga, and even some of the pose names go back to different Hindu gods and things like that. But it didn't necessarily like come from India or come from a certain region.
But those names